Hello, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn session for Decisions. My name is Kevin. I'm a sales engineer at Decisions, and I will be your host for today. We're just going to give just a couple moments to come in. We do have one pre-submitted question as well. But if there are any other questions, please feel free to add them to the chat. Raise your hand, come off mute as well. And are there any questions so far on today? If not, that's totally fine. So I'm going to log into the studio here. Any questions? And what we can do while we're waiting on, just going to give one of our attendees a few minutes to come in to today's Lunch and Learn. There was one pre-submitted question, but I want to give her time to come in so we can answer it live just to make sure I have all of the details behind it. But one thing that we can do while we are waiting around is what I would like to do is go through and see how we can set up a database integration. I know that that is a common thing that many people want to do inside of Decisions for your particular use case. So just wanted to go through and kind of map out those steps. So if let me stop sharing here for a second and let me get my screen back together. There we go. All right, so what we can do here, let's go into, I've set up a database here inside of my VM. And what I'm going to do is go into that database and let's see what that actually looks like. So once I go inside of my database, I have to set up a PostgreSQL database. And what we're going to do is just set it up inside of Decisions and then be able to call that information or reference that information inside of Decisions. So here, as you see, I just want to go in here, show you what it looks like. I have my demo database here, and I have this table that is available. If I go in and let's take a look at the rows, this only has 100 rows, so not a very large database at all. And so you see here, I just have some data based on some fake customer information. And so what we're going to do is let's go back now inside of decisions. And I've already configured this integration, but we can walk through it, the steps again. So here, all you would need to do is come in and set up your connection name. We'll just say example, DB. I will enter in the type of database. So as you see here, you have multiple different types of databases available. Of course, ours is Postgres, so we're going to choose that. We're going to choose our server name, and that server name is going to be where it's being hosted at, so, or where our server is located. So ours is, or mine is on my local host. So I'm going to put localhost in here, and then my database name, I want to match it with what we have over here. So that's going to be my demo database. And we want to uncheck this because I want to enter in my username and password, which is going to be Postgres for this. And then this is going to be the password for your actual database. And I just want to test it just to make sure we get a success. And as you see, we do have a success message. And so I'm not sure if Decision is going to let me set it up twice, or maybe it is. So once we do that, we can go in now and we can set up. We have different options. So we can add tables, we can add view, add a relationship, which is if you have multiple tables that you would need to configure a relationship with to bring in all of that information into Decisions at the same time, then you have that ability as well. But what we're just going to simply do is just add a table. And based on what we have available, so inside of our database here, we just have one table. But if I had multiple, say if I had 2 or 3 different tables in here, or even 100, then all of those tables would come up as an option. And so what we can do is just choose one at a time. And as I mentioned, with that relationship, we can, if we have multiple, we can tie those tables together. And once I click next, now we have different table fields. And that's going to, again, coincide with what we have available, the columns inside of our table that we've chosen. Decisions are automatically going to recognize those. Then down here at the bottom, so if you have a primary key, if you have a foreign keys, that's a part of your table, tying maybe like customer ID to customer sense, maybe those are tied together with the foreign key, then you can choose those options. With Decisions, however, if I just left this one without choosing a key, if I click next, I'm only going to have a limited amount of options to choose from. And these would be my flow steps that I could use to access the database, which is the whole point. But what I can do now, I just choose one key, at least now I can go back and just choose all the steps that I would like to choose from and have available inside of the Flow Designer. I'm going to click Save here. And once it's going to take a few seconds, like configuring the actual database would on this MS SQL database that we have running in the background when you install Decisions. Once that's completed, we can go now inside of our workflow and let's just take a look at what it configured, what steps were generated and where you can find them. So now once we go inside of the Flow Designer, you can scroll down to integration. And if we go to database, now as you see, we have my demo database that was already set up. We have the one that we configured as well as our local connection. And now once I scroll under our particular table now, so again, if you had multiple tables, then those steps for each of those tables would now be available under your database that you've integrated. So just to demonstrate that it is working, we're just gonna roll out a step here for get by ID. And let's pick one that we would like to bring back. So let's bring back Josephina Taunton. And let's say that we wanted her information to come back and be pulled inside of our workflow. So it's on this particular step now, I can choose, maybe I had that customer ID coming from another portion of my workflow, maybe from a form, maybe from another portion of our database, but we're just going to choose, I believe she was option ID 4, yes. So we're just going to put in a 4 there, and let's test this. And if we look on our inputs and outputs, as you see, we have the information for Josephine. All right. And since I don't see Manishu to answer or ask the question, what I can do, we'll just go through it, and what I was able to find for this pre-submitted question. I'm not sure if everyone can see it, but it does say down in the chat, they would like to know how to run a flow upon a tab in tab container. We have 3 flows, flowA, flowB, flowC, in a tab container with 3 tabs. Tabs A, B, and C. We want to be able to run flowA on click of tab A, flowB on click of tab B, and so on. How do I implement this in decision 7? So upon exploring this, this is what I was able to find out. So if we go inside of our tab container flow here, what I did was just set this up in the same way. We have a tab container here on the form, have flowA, flowB, and flowC. And also in decision in the properties panel, once you click off of the form, you'll be given an option to have active form rules. Now as I was going through this, trying to see if that would be an option, I just created a simple flow here. And all I did was just add a add step to it. I just put some constant values in. But upon coming out, how you would like to trigger this is by clicking on a tab. So clicking on flowA tab would trigger one flow. Clicking on flowB tab would trigger flowB, and so on. The only hindrance I've found with this is that you're not given the option to have multiple tabs recognized inside of the triggers. The only thing you have is the entire container. So if you wanted to run a flow based on that tab change, so if you started out with A and you go over to tab B, it would trigger a flow to run where you can have maybe one of those flows run. However, if you change that tab again, it's going to run the same flow. So that's the downside or limitation that I found with setting this up. So right now, I don't think that would be possible to do, but that could be something that you submit a ticket for just to be sure, support ticket just to be sure that there's maybe someone can work with some other options for this. And I'm not sure what your particular use case is, so I can't really say what would work or workaround would be possibly, but that was my take from this particular pre-submitted question. So I hope that helps. Unfortunately, I know it's not the answer that you were looking for. In version 7, you do have active form flows as well. So that is an option. I'm in, as you see, version 8 right now. Are there any other questions for today? It's 12:16 right now. I'll just give it a few more moments. And as always, you can join Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, where we have a decisions expert coming on and answering all of your questions, or just at least trying to answer all of your questions, and pointing, if nothing else, pointing in the right direction for any issues that you may be having. No, we're on a, like I said, on a pause here. I don't see any more questions. But I do, Ben, I don't think we've had a chance to talk when I've been host. So I'm interested in kind of hearing though, if you don't mind, how are you using decisions? Like what's one of your use cases? Are you there, Ben? And it's okay if you can't come off mute. I completely understand.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute. So I'm actually newer to using decisions. I was just recently hired by a company that's been using it for a while.
Mhm.
So I sort of just hop on these lunch and learns to kind of see how everyone else is using it.
Gotcha.
Because I'm still sort of learning it myself over here, and just I just look to see all the different kinds of steps and stuff that people find use of it for. But yeah, for us, we use it more just like for workflow, just to take in, Excel spreadsheets or CSV files
Hmm.
that contain financial data, and we process it through, and import it into our database and upload, put it in places that other programmers can use to like upload to our software that we develop. So we use it for a few different things, but again, I'm still new over here, so I'm more on these just to kind of see how everyone else is using it and what might help us, in the future with things.
Awesome. I appreciate that. If you don't mind, what version are you using?
Right now we're on version 5.11, but we also have version 6.20 that we basically, I use 6.20 and the other people that use it use 5.11. And as you know, the plan is, we're going to have customers and stuff upgrade to 6.20. And when they do, we'll have, it'll be all the stuff that I've been putting out there. So most of our customers and people that use decisions use 5.11, but
Mhm.
we are getting more into 6.20 right now.
And what company it, are you a employee of?
It's TELUS Agriculture, and we work in a division called Softtrax over there.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. How long have you been there?
I've been here for about 2 months now, but it's
Okay.
sort of, this is just part of one of the things that I do over here. So yeah, I'm still new to it, but yeah, I just like coming on here to kind of see how everyone else uses it and what other kinds of, you know, problems that people get to solve with decisions. So, it's always interesting being on these lunch and learns.
Definitely. And I know I've seen your name on here quite often, so it's nice to meet you, first of all.
Nice to meet you
But
too.
also but also it's interesting to get to know your use case and that. So for future calls and everything, um, if I'm hosting again, that we can recognize like how to, if you have like in regards to Excel steps and things of that nature. We do have quite a few of those in our steps toolbox. And I've worked with those quite a bit as well inside of workflow. So actually, I love going through and parsing through that data, and as you said, sending it out to your databases and other applications. That's really awesome and interesting as well.
Yeah, I come from a background doing EDI, electronic data interchange. Um,
Okay.
and so when I joined this company, it's sort of similar to workflow. And then when I joined this company, it was, it's just sort of learning the new tool. But I'm realizing I'm like, in my past company, even this would have been awesome if, if they were even, kind of aware of it and just all the different, how robust it is. It really is a solution for everything if you know how to use it right. So,
It really is. It
yeah.
really is the I've heard it referred to, this is referred to as a box of Legos, where you pretty much just are able to construct your own, your process, and the power lies in that, where it's not customized to one specific use case. You come in, you design your own process, and be able to integrate with pretty much anything that has open APIs. And your databases, like, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, and we use the APIs a lot too. So that's, that's for the most part where where we use it, and it's pretty amazing. It really is. As we go along with things, we never really have to. There's no need to, use a second tool or really anything to, to help with it. It's just, it's the one, just decisions. You can find a way to do anything.
Have you been through one of our developer courses or a business
No,
analyst
not
course?
yet. I think we're gonna look into doing. A coworker of mine has done them and stuff like that, but I haven't actually gotten to do it yet. No.
Okay. Well, definitely, I would definitely recommend doing that, as it is free, for you to come in and just learn about the tool, and you have two different paths that you can take as well, to learn about setting up different workflows, and using all of the different designers that we have. So definitely consider that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, we are nearing the bottom of the hour, and if there are no more questions, then I believe Maru, it would be okay to go ahead and end it for today.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, Ben, and we will see you on next week.
Great. Thanks for your time.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.